I think we can go ahead and get this going.
Yeah, about 125 people so far.
Perfect.
Wonderful.
Okay, Sarah, you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, so hi everyone. Welcome back for the second night of the NSA at Home conference. We are thrilled to have you back. If you were able to be with us last night, we thank you for joining us tonight. If you weren't able to get in, but then figured out that we increased our space and you were able to join us, we say thank you for coming back and we apologize for that. But in true NSA fashion, you know, what is it really? I mean, we all have power. You know, there was nothing wrong. We just couldn't admit, you know, the other 600 people that wanted to get in, but all good. We handled the problem and we are here tonight. So welcome back and thank you so much for signing up to be a part of this. Right now, I'd like to turn it over to Sarah Onofre.
Hi. There, everyone. Tonight's workshop is going to be our town hall. And so what we're going to be doing here is this is really a chance for everyone to get to meet everyone on the board of directors and to learn a little bit more about what the board does. So each board member is going to have a few minutes to introduce themselves, tell you a little bit about their background, how long they've been involved with the NSA. And we're also going to be taking questions in the chat box. So we're going to be scanning the chat box, trying to get to your questions. We do have limited time, so we're going to do our best to answer as many questions as we can. But I just want to remind everybody that if there's ever anything you have a question about or something you want to bring to the board, you can always email your question right to Tammy at info@westutter.org, and she'll always direct it to the appropriate board member. So to start us off, before we get to the introductions, we're just going to have a little message from our chairman, Dr. Jerry MAGUIRE.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Sarah. It's an honor to be here. And let everybody know, if you weren't on the intro last night, I've been involved with the NSA since 1992 when I was still in my medical training. And as a person who stutters myself, I want to give back to the organization that has given so much to me. Give you guys an update as well. Our board met. We meet at least twice a year in person before COVID, and then virtually as well every month and more often. And to give you guys an update, I've always had questions like, what does the board do? What are we about? How does the NSA exist? And all this kind of stuff. So to kind of give you a background as well, the board members were all made up of these great volunteers, and we exist for you. The NSA is your organization. And remember that we are here to support the stuttering community through advocacy, education, research, support, and any other way that we can help through education, professional relations, and others to help the stuttering world. And I thank all of you with that. We exist off volunteer donations. You hear more from our group that helps do that as well. And I just want to welcome all of you. This is your organization. Reach out to me at any time with any questions, and this is your opportunity as well to hear about us and what we actually do. So with that, I'll turn that over to Sarah.
Thank you so much, Jerry. All right, so now we're going to start with our introductions, and I'm just going to start out by introducing myself. So my name is Sarah Onofre. I am from Boston, and I am an elementary English as a second language teacher. And I'm a person who stutters. So I've been attending NSA conferences since 2006. I went to my first conference with my mom. She's on the Zoom call right now. And I had always known that I wanted to be a teacher, but I had always imagined that it would be so much harder and impossible for some reason because I stuttered. And at my first conference, I met a teacher who happened to stutter. And it was truly the first time that I believed that it was possible. That was my life-changing moment with the NSA. And so I've been involved with the organization ever since I started volunteering with family programs and have done a lot of work with them. I've been on the board since 2012, originally as family programs co-chair, and for the past few years, I've been secretary. I'm actually ending my term on the board at the end of the summer, but I've really gotten so much out of being on the board, and it's a great way to volunteer and to be able to give back to the organization. I also have to mention that I'm also a proud chapter leader and really happy to lead a family and an adult chapter in Boston. And it's been a great way to connect with other people who stutter and their families. So that's a little bit about me. Now I'm gonna pass it off to our next board member, who's going to introduce herself, and we'll keep on going, and then we'll take questions. All right. So next up is Annie Bradbury.
So thanks, Sarah. So as Sarah said, my name's Annie Bradbury, and this is a little nerve-wracking, I have to admit. You know, I was sitting here thinking about what I was going to share with you, and many of you know this. I've been a member of the organization since I found it when I was 19, and I'm 62, and I literally grew up with this organization. And I've shared this, that when I first found it, I didn't do anything because the only way to reach out was by mail or phone, and there was no way I was going to pick up the phone. And here I am looking at 146 people. Wow, this is incredible, and how things have changed. And I know a lot of you, I think there's a lot of first timers, so we're going to get a little crazy real quick. Put your hand up if you're a first timer, and just keep them up. We want to get a quick look at you. So raise your hand if you're a first timer. Wonderful. Keep them up. So Mandy's taking a quick look at that. Pamela Mertz, who will be talking to you shortly, and I coordinate the First Timers program. We hope you got a letter of welcome from us. We're so glad that you're here, and we look forward in the future to meet you in person. So I will be stepping in as the upcoming secretary as soon as Sarah teaches me all of her magical ways. And it's an honor, you know, being involved all these years. People ask me why I'm still around, and it's because it needs to be here when I'm gone. It's what fuels my soul and my purpose. I'm so glad to see you all today.
Thank you so much, Annie. All right, and next up is Peter KATZ.
Hi, everybody. I'm Peter KATZ, and I'm a parent of someone who stutters. I'm new to the board for about 2 months now, I believe. On the fund development side committee, and just the NSA is a great organization. It's been great to our family, so I'm more than happy to give back however I can. Just on a committee level, I just want to reach out to everybody. We're really making a big push as the Fund Development Committee to raise funds from grants. So if you know a company you work for, someone, a foundation, please forward your information to Tammy. Maybe you know someone that won a lottery and they have extra money. So we'll take any leads. So thanks a lot.
Thank you, Peter. All right, and now we're going to go to John Moore.
Hi everyone. I'm John Moore, and I have been involved with the NSA since 2011. Proud person who stutters. That was back when I was in Austin, Texas. I am now in Greenville, South Carolina. I happen to be chapter leader. I want to give a shout out to Jake Olinger, who's on the call. And I have been on the NSA Board of Directors for about a year. I help out on select marketing projects.
Awesome. Thank you so much, John. All right, next up is Charlie Adams.
Hey, everyone. Thank you, Sarah. My name is Charlie Adams, and I'm also in South Carolina. I'm a couple hours south of John down in Columbia, South Carolina. Special projects, not special projects. I started about a year ago, same time John did, as working in special projects, and now I am moved over to professional relations, because I am a related professional. I'm a speech pathologist. And I believe this position was created to encourage more speech pathologists to be involved in the NSA. And fortunately, they've done a great job of that. And now we're at a point where we're really wanting to expand professional relations across many professions. For example, Doc and I have talked about being able to offer CEUs to physicians, also counselors, psychiatrists, psychologists, teachers, of course. Special Projects is working on something in the future to outreach to schools, for example. I found the NSA in 2001 as a doctoral student working with people who stutter, realizing that my patients needed more than I could give them as a speech therapist. They needed support. And I found the NSA, and it's been wonderful. I'm still a chapter leader. I'm now a co-leader with Aisha Haynes. And I will be disappointed if I don't come away from this meeting with lots of ideas from you all about things some connections we need to make out across professions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Charlie. All right, next is Christine Short.
Hi, I am Christine Short from Phoenix, Arizona, and I currently serve on the board as a family programs co-chair. It's a position that I share with Steve. We kind of divided it up, so my position entails parent interaction, which takes the form of helping to moderate the parents' Facebook closed group, answering parent questions that come in through email, through the website, or directly to Tammy, and then also seeking out content that is relevant to parents for workshops, which now we're transitioning obviously to a virtual conference, but also virtual meetings throughout the remainder of the year. So I've been working on that, and I found the NSA about 10 years ago with my son, and it had a profound impact on his life. And after we left, our first NSA Family Fun Day was what we went to. He said, "I cannot believe there are so many people that stutter." And for him and for our family, the NSA has provided the kind of comfort, support, and environment that I just really want to help provide to everyone else.
Thank you so much, Christine. Next, we'll hear from Christine's co-chair, Steve Ernst.
Hello, everybody. Yeah, I'm Steve Ernst. I currently live in Denver. I've been involved with the NSA for 10 years now, so this is my 10th conference, so this is pretty exciting. So yeah, just want to say welcome.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Steve. And next, Tom Scharstein.
My name is Tom Scharstein. I'm from Jupiter, Florida. Back in 1997, I ran across this phone number about a stuttering something. And I called the number and I talked to someone named Annie Bradbury, who told me about the craziest idea that I'd ever heard. She said there was a gathering of people who stutter that summer, and she invited me to it. And I don't know why I even went to the conference, but instantly, when I walked through the conference door, I realized this was the first time that I felt normal. And I'm so excited, and I'm so pumped to be involved in an organization that provides that opportunity for people who stutter every single year. We in adult chapters provide a place for people who stutter to talk. And we create opportunities for people who stutter here that they can use out there. So I am very grateful to be with my fellow board of directors and with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tom. And next we'll hear from Pam Mertz.
Hi, everyone. I'm Pam Mertz. I live in the capital of New York, Albany. I found the NSA and went to my first conference in 2006. And I think I started volunteering the very next year in 2007. I had a very difficult experience with being terminated from a job due to stuttering. And I vowed that somehow I would make use of that to help other people who stutter perhaps have a smoother way. So that was part of the reason I was so interested in getting on the board and doing some work with employment advocacy. And now we have the program, We Stutter at Work, which would have saved me an enormous amount of grief 12 or 13 years ago. So happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Pam. And Carl Coffey is up next.
Thanks, Sarah. So my name is Carl Coffey, and I'm from Bowling Green, Kentucky. I'm also a chapter leader here in Bowling Green, and I've been on the board since January of this year. I first became involved with the NSA probably 5 or 6 years ago. I was working in my first real job, and I just remember every morning I would get up and I would have dread getting ready to go to work because I was so nervous about someone hearing me stutter. And I felt a lot of shame and fear around my stuttering, and I just didn't know what to do. And so I remember I did a Google search for stuttering, and I found the NSA online, and I went to my first chapter meeting. Probably took me 2 or 3 months to actually get out of the car. I walked in the parking deck and just kind of talked myself out of actually going into the meeting because I didn't know what it was going to be like. But when I finally did go, I remember being so excited because I met people who had great jobs, who stuttered, and, you know, I was able to, as Tom said, you know, understand and be around with people who got it and people who I could relate to. I ended up going to my first conference in Atlanta in 2016, and to be honest, I was completely terrified. I didn't know what it would be like, and I didn't know how a conference would work. How would we be in a room with all these hundreds of people who stutter? But it was amazing because I've formed some of the best connections with people and have made some lifelong friends as well. So I'm really excited to be a part of the board. We do really great work, and I'm excited for you guys to be able to ask us some questions and for us to be able to share some of that work with you all.
Thank you, Carl. So we're going to go back to Jerry to get to share a little bit more about him. But first, I just wanted to remind people that they should be thinking about any questions that they might have, and then we're going to be taking all the questions in the chat box, because we have so many people on the call and a limited amount of time. We're not going to be able to unmute people to be able to verbally ask the questions. We're going to be looking for those in the chat box. So just because we don't have a ton of time tonight, unfortunately. So we'll be taking questions in a few minutes, but first, Dr. Jerry MAGUIRE for a little bit more about himself.
Okay, well, thank you. As a people, I joined the NSA back in 1992, met Annie Bradbury quickly. She was in the chapter right next to me in Orange County. I was in my medical residency. I'm a psychiatrist, and had my mission way back in middle school that I wanted to be a physician to understand stuttering and to provide support. You know, having been in therapy since a little boy, since age 5, all the way through high school and middle school, I wanted to dedicate my life. And I want anybody out there aspiring to go to the medical field to know that they can do it. I had professors along the way tell me that I could not be a physician because I stuttered. And even in medical school, when I told them I want to be a psychiatrist, and psychiatry is the most verbal field of medicine, people told me, don't do it. You have to be a radiologist. You have to be a pathologist. You can't interact with people. But I went ahead, dedicated my life. I thank all of you, and that you'll hear about my research on another day at this conference on our treatments and so forth. But what's really helped me as not just as a clinician and as a researcher, but as a person who stutters, is the support that I received and still receive from this great organization that I had the lucky chance to find a chapter leader back in 1992, who was also a physician, as Annie knows, right? Dr. Richard Brower, local family doc, and that helped me. And I'm indebted to this organization for the rest of my life. I'm never going to retire from it. My dad's still practicing at age 92. So NSA, here I am, and let's go forth. So with that, we're getting some questions, right, Sarah?
Yes, we are.
Right.
All right, well, thank you so much, Jerry, for sharing that. And thank you just again. So thank you again to everyone for being here. We really appreciate you taking time out of your Wednesday night to be with us and learn a little bit more about the National Stuttering Association. So we're going to be going through the questions in the chat box, and then I'll be sharing the questions, and then board members, I think some of them will be specific to you, and I'll be able to point it out. Or if it's a more general question, then I'll share the question, and then board members, you can physically raise your hand if you have something you want to add to that. Okay. So our first question is, are there any initiatives that the board would like to see happen, but is having a tough time getting off the ground due to lack of time, finances, etc.?
Sarah, I want to, or so
Awesome.
who do you, I have one that I like.
Sure, Jerry, go ahead. And then Charlie, you can chime in too.
Great. So I want to give something that's been just a background for everyone. We exist year to year, essentially. We raise funds every year to exist for that next year. There are times in the past that I've been in this organization where financially the future did not look right. Annie's aware of that, right? As Annie said, she's here to make sure that the NSA exists for our kids, our grandkids, great-grandkids, et cetera. But there's been, so having that financial security, I'd say, is a top one. That's why we fund development. My thought, my mission as a chair is that we actually raise enough in an endowment that we have such that the operations that we're currently doing will always exist, and that the funding goes above that. I'll just be upfront with you. Our operations for all the conferences that we do and the CEUs that we provide, I'm just going to, about $500,000 a year is what the NSA provides, right? So we have to raise that every year to go on. And so for me, it would take an endowment of 10 million that we'd have to raise in order to spin off 5%, which is 500 million. Sorry, 500,000 a year, right? So that's my goal eventually, get there bit by bit, but also is to continue to raise funds every year. So we're financially stable, not just for the next 2 years, but for the next 200 years. That's number one, I like to say. Number two is we want to have the funding to exist. We're currently in our research operations. We review, and Dr. Scaler-Scott knows this and others, we receive research ideas where we can just utilize the NSA database to refer people to research that we have. However, we are not giving grants, big ones, that would support certain research. And that research doesn't have to necessarily be on treatment. It could be on advocacy and different methods of that, you know, it should be all encompassing, everything that helps the stuttering community. But we're not in a financial base through existence of funds that would actually generate where people like the American Cancer Society, the Tourette Syndrome Association, and others, which give out grants every year, but people can use to help others in the community that they serve. Those are two of the biggest things that I see as chair. I'll chime in for others on the board to actually say.
Charlie, was there something you wanted to add?
Well, Jerry stole my thunder a little bit. I was going to say research. Research is very expensive. And while the NSA is definitely involved in research, we're not quite at a place where we can fund it very well yet.
Yeah.
Thank you, Charlie. And And then Annie, do you have something you want to add?
Yeah, I was just saying, when you're talking about research, I think it's also really important for everyone to understand that what we're doing right here is something that would get research. Is that how the NSA, how our support groups, how our conferences impact our life? That is also research. And when we were talking, I'm still in the nonprofit sector here in California, and when we're an organization like this, and there's so many things that we need and want to do, it's hard. So sometimes we have to pick a few and do them well. And so I think that's important to know too, that there's a long list of desires for, and we're a small board and we need your help. That's how we get things done.
Thank you so much, Annie. All right, so our next question is about whether there are any open positions on the board, and I will take that one as part of my job, is being the chair of the nominations committee. So right now we are currently accepting applications for the adult programs co-chairs positions, and that's been posted on the website. Whenever we have a position that's open on the board, we share it with the NSA community, on the website, and sometimes with an email blast. And if you ever have any questions about coming onto the board, you can definitely reach out to me or reach out to Tammy, who can put you in touch with the right person. But the application is up on the website. And then once people apply, they'll hear back from the nominations committee. And some people will move on to do like a type of video interview before the board votes, and then has someone new come on the board. So that's just a little bit about the nominations process. All right, so our next question is, what does the board do for members with issues of intersectionality, people who stutter, who are also autistic or disabled, people of color, LGBTQ, also, etc. And then the person goes on to say, I have trouble fitting in even in support groups because there are layers that other people don't understand. Do you have someone from the board who'd like to share some thoughts on that one?
Sure, Sarah.
Jerry? Yeah.
Okay. So we're recruiting as well for diversity and inclusion, right, Tammy? We're looking at this for someone to serve on the board for this very important role that we have to reach. I like to view in a way where we as people who stutter are in a marginalized and vulnerable community. We understand that there are others as well who have a double hit at that, right? So they're even in a marginalized community or a vulnerable community as well, that we want to be inclusive, right? We want to be understanding, and we are, and we look to that for that input, that mission, that we can do a better job in reaching out to all sectors of our community. As a group, we are an inclusive organization, and we need more expert advice on doing that. And we're welcoming, right, a new member. Am I right, Tammy and Sarah, to help us in that?
Yes.
We are putting together the description of what the position might do and what some of the requirements would be and such. So we haven't announced that just yet, because we're still working with our legal counsel to make sure that we cover all of our bases before opening up this position.
Yeah, I just want to say, but we've had discussions at the, and this is our mission there.
Yeah, so that can definitely be something that people can look out for if they're interested in getting more involved, volunteering on the board, and sort of helping to tackle this exact question. Does anyone else have anything they want to add for that question before we move on? Okay, perfect, thank you. All right, our next question is, what do you see as the 3 biggest needs of the organization over the next few years?
Well, I think we kind of addressed that in the 3 major initiatives, right, Charlie, when we discussed that. I think it's similar. I don't want to necessarily rehash it, but the financial stability for, I should say, the financial sustainability, right? We are doing, Tammy, I just want to tell everybody, I as a professor and a chair at a medical school, medical schools are very much involved in philanthropic measures to support education and research and different forms of clinical care. And I've been involved with 20 different development officers who fundraise. And I'm just going to be frank, you know, Tammy's the best. I see her with donors and everyone, and it's behind the scenes. I just want to go on record. It's completely behind the scenes. Many of us in the board are just learning, but somehow the funds are there and we can fund workshops. We can fund a conference. We can get speakers. You know, we can do the CME credits, the CEU credits. All those cost money. And I'm just thankful. I've seen it firsthand, and I'm very thankful for our executive director in what she does. So thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. All right, our next question, which I believe will probably also be for Jerry and Charlie again, is what type of research is being done done on acquired stuttering?
Right. Well, I would like for you to participate in our call tomorrow, John. It's at 4:45 Eastern, research update. And that involves Dr. Yaris, Dr. Shelley Jo Kraft, Dr. Sheikh Bihai, me, and Dr. Suan Chang. So we'll give you an update on imaging, genetics, medications. We're really piecing it down to, I know people don't say this, but we're really understanding the causes and etiology of stuttering. Get ready, there'll be new updates on that. And of course, you bring up acquired stuttering, that's a different form. And what I really feel what will change in the next 6 months to a year, kind of hot off the press stuff that'll be announced within the coming months, is different subclasses of stuttering. We may all sound alike, right? But we are different. We are united with common symptoms, but there are differences that lead to all of us of why we stutter. Just like high blood pressure or hypertension, the symptom looks the same. You measure the blood pressure and it's elevated, but it may have different causes as to why it's there. It could be kidney, it could be heart, it could be circulation. So we're learning that. And we get that, especially with acquired stuttering, there are different forms of that. I'll be happy to touch upon that on the call, on the research call, but work is being done there. And that is to understand the brain physiology of where along these tracks those things can actually occur.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
All right, so, and I just wanted to share just a little reminder that that we do only have 5 minutes left for the rest of the section, for the rest of this session. So we'll try to get to as many more questions as we can. So, you know, feel free to keep on putting questions in the chat box. All right. So our next question is, what is the best thing that we can do to support the NSA's mission in our area? Are there any resources or programming that we can implement locally? I think this is probably a good question for our family programs co-chairs and the adult programs chair.
I think what I would say first off, if you're brand new to the NSA and you don't know what's available in your area, there are lists of your local chapters online. So that would be your first place to start. Do you have a local chapter? Is it relevant to you? If you're an adult who stutters, is there an adult chapter? If you have a child who stutters, is there a family chapter? If the answer is yes, I would start there and work with them. If the answer is no, Steve in family programs and Tom in adult programs can help walk you through how do you start a chapter? What does that look like? What does the time commitment look like? I've seen other questions in the chat about how do you become a chapter leader? You ask. You ask, how do you decide where to have your meetings at? You decide. There's some parameters. You don't have them in your house. You have them at an open forum. So that's the first step. What's the second step? The second step is becoming active in your community and raising awareness on stuttering. So what does that mean to you? It could mean financial donations through your place of business, through your spouse's place of business. It can mean organizing some fundraisers that support the NSA on a small scale, on a large scale, depending on what your skill set is on that. It could mean advertising in your community Facebook groups about, hey, if you guys have any kids that stutter, you know, my son stutters, or hey, is there anyone that stutters here? I stutter. Do you guys know about the NSA? Those are things that I've done that have seemed to have helped develop the community. It can seem like you're the only person in your neighborhood, in your school, in your business, in your city that stutters, and that is isolating. It sometimes takes you making that first step to make other people come out and say, oh my gosh, my daughter stutters too. My husband stutters, I stutter, my grandpa stutters. And then all of a sudden you start building your community and you start building the awareness of the NSA. There are so many people that stutter that don't know about the NSA. It takes all of us.
Thank you, Christine. I think that was the perfect answer. So, I think that we just have time for one last question tonight, and so the next question is there a potential to have a virtual component of the conference in future years? I think this one is probably best for Tammy.
That's a great question. I would think that overall, if you're asking if the entire conference could be done virtually like this, I think it loses the connection the actual conference offers. So while we could do a component of the actual conference, maybe as a live stream or virtual at a different point in time, I think that's always an option. But I think what the annual conference brings is the friendship and the connection that you get with each other, seeing each other in person. So while this is great for this year, I think we could definitely look to a component for another year. But I definitely, you know, it's not off the table, but I don't think it would be the first choice of many.
All right, thank you very much, Tammy.
Yeah,
all right, so sadly there is just 1 minute left. So we are out of time for questions, but I just want to remind people that if we weren't able to get to your question tonight, or you didn't have a chance to ask your question, you can always email us at info@westutter.org. That goes right to Tammy. And if you have a question for a specific board member, you can just say, Tammy, do you mind sharing this with the person responsible for whatever? And then she will be happy to
pass that on. Okay. And Sarah, may I just say, could we capture?
Sorry, Jerry, go ahead.
Could we capture these questions? Because a lot we didn't get to, and Tammy or others.
We can save them.
Yeah, let's save them. Sorry, we can't get to them all, and we will send out emails to all of you. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Jerry. So I just wanted to say thank you again to all of you for spending your time with us tonight. It was really nice. I'm glad that we were able to, introduce ourselves, and hopefully you got to get a little bit of a glimpse into into what happens at the Board of Directors.